Okay, so this is another tip based on the idea of the water. Very basic. There's other ways, of course, of doing water. We'll see them later on. But this is for your organic form. I want you guys to explore very clearly the concepts to make morphology that relates to water splashing in a way. No. Okay, I think the best way to start this, it's basically a plane. So I pressed polygons plane, and in create polygons I have this guy unchecked, so that's why it creates one right there. And if I press it, I can see Control A that it has a polyplane here, 10 and 10, so divisions. Okay, so that's the default one. If you don't have that, just put it like that. I'm gonna scale it by pressing R and make it super big, quite the like the grid. If it's bigger, it doesn't matter, it's fine. And I'm gonna increase these guys, I don't know, to 20. I think 20 is good. And this is it. I mean, this is your water that you're gonna. I would probably start saving as every step you do, so you can, kind of save each of the steps of the deformation. And we have seen this in class, but it's pretty much touching it, right-click vertex, and you can just select vertex and W and move them. If I press 5 to shade it, as you can see, this is of course like not relaxed, so we just have to press 3 to see this. Now, that could be your first quite watery effects, and you can do this as many times as you want. Change and move the different points by selecting points. I think for the water, you should basically select the points one by one until you get the perfect water sculpture that you're wishing for. Now, other tips that could help you out, if I'm Control C, going back to the original plane, there's one way of selecting, as you know, with a paintbrush. If I go to object mode, select this guy, and select vertex again, all of them, I can select this guy in 2012, which is paintbrush, and what it comes is, well, if you double click, also it comes, how the brush it is, and etc. So you can start and you can change the radius a little bit. You see how it's now bigger, and you can start selecting, for example, amount of points that I can press W and move them up. So you see that will be another way of selecting. I can also deselect it just by going to the object mode, going back to the vertex and paintbrush to do some other selection. I don't know. You have to go and do your own super water here, no? And I want like a lot of like thousands of treatments of points up and down, different ways, etc., until you get that perfect water. Two things that you should use as well for this water concept until you get the best one. What is the sculpturing module to deform surfaces? If you have to be in object mode in the surface, and you have to go to Mesh, Sculpt Geometry tool. In 2012 is this guy, in 2008 is not here, so if you're in 2008, just go here to Mesh and Sculpt Geometry. You can go to Options, so this guy comes out, and the same idea, but in this case, as you are traveling with and pressing the shape, you won't be selecting, you will be deforming, and you will be deforming according to what operation you're doing. Here is pulling out, as you can see, the image is quite straightforward. Here's pushing in. This is like smoothing, and this is like relaxing, etc., etc. I think you guys should test all of them until you get, and of course the amount will be the strength, and you can change the radius if you want more, as you can see, versus if you want less of a radius, it will be more bumpy. You can change the strength, it will be like less. So basically, you guys should check the options, displacement. You see how it changes, and it's much more. And for the water, of course, this is like not the water you have to search for, but with all these 2-3 tools that we have talked about, you can always go to Q, go to vertex and move this guy W, particularly because you want to have that shape, or etc., etc. You can be more picky about each of the points, and I recommend you guys do that. Now this is just one format. I think you guys should include like spheres, W, and put them up here. And probably if I close this, we should go and reduce the number of subdivisions for the sphere, and play with the 3 command to relax it and deform it also in different ways, as we have seen, either selecting vertexes, W, and move, or in the same way we can go to vertexes, select by the paintbrush, make it small radius, you see, and select some of them and move them or scale them, etc. Also, as I said before, we should go to this one, which is Sculpt, which is also here in Mesh Sculpt Geometry, with a smaller radius, of course, and knowing that it's going to pull or push, you're going to do this kind of smoothing operations. Q, and this piece, resulted piece, should be, you know, within the logic of the water splash. So just, you know, go one by one, very careful, sculpting this water. We need this water is very intuitive, but we need a very good like impressive type of splashing and idea. And remember, if you want to render, because it will be very easy to render a spectacular shape here, form, or whatever. We'll see a material for water afterwards. You first have to go to the plane shape and smooth mask, and under smooth mask go to preview division levels and 3. So it will be very nice and smooth, the same way for every other piece that you may have. And this is going to render magnificent, no? We will see that this will allow these forms for spectacular morphologies in the deformation part, which is going to come afterwards, after we develop the best water sculpture that we can. Okay, I think it's a great tip. There you go.